So Kapil is joining us. I mean, he's a lawyer in India. Let's hope we have other people joining us. But this is basically, I'll tell you, Donald, the idea was that we have these informal conversations. It all started with me talking to a general counsel because I'm trying to promote mediation as much as I can. So I was talking to a general counsel in India. He said, look, I've heard about mediation, but I don't know who a mediator is. Now I said, look, I'm not interested in the fact that you're a mediator or not. You have the mediator mindset. So I felt, look, little bit that I read about you, and I said, you have that. So this is a show for people who have the mediator mindset. Right? I mean, it's just a matter of whether it's like just a casual conversation. It's a living room conversation. This is the only living room that we can be in right now, our own. So basically, you'll have to maybe, of course, tell us a little bit about yourself right now. Then we'll go into the past and we'll start you off right from the beginning.
Well, thank you, Vikram, for having me on your show. My name is Donald Betts. I'm a lawyer in Australia. I was formerly a senator from the state of Kansas, served 1 year in the House and 5 years in the Senate. I met my wife here in Australia on a political exchange trip. And after a failed bid for US Congress, I decided that I would start a new life in Australia with her. So that's pretty much what brings me here. I'm a practicing lawyer. I was admitted in November. I've been with the same firm for about 2.5 years now. So yeah, things are going pretty well in Australia. I'm pretty glad I made the move.
But is it possible to get the mic a little closer, because I think your volume is a little low? Is the mic, I guess, I
Is it
think
audible?
earlier it was better when you were talking to me. It was, yeah. Well,
Can
we
you
want
hear me
to,
now?
yes, much better. We want to hear you properly. But
Okay.
before that, what I'll do, let me just introduce you to Abe. Abe is in Sydney. Abe, why don't you say hi
Go ahead.
to to Donald?
Hi, Donald. How are you? Nice
Hi,
meeting you.
Abe. Thank you. Lovely to
But
meet you.
Donald, Abe was on the show, the other show that I do, that Evolution of a Mediator. He has a very interesting story. You must watch his episode of that.
Thank you. Thank you.
I will
I mean, he grew up in
do
that
that.
whole Israel-Palestine conflict situation, little child, seeing all that. Then he like you also. I mean, he moved into Australia. He's very happy here, there. You were very happy there. I think maybe I'll also have to come to Australia. Why is everyone so happy there?
It's a beautiful space. How are you, Vikram?
Very good, Abe. And of course, I mean, Donald, I mean, why Abe is, I mean, in terms of his, why I keep talking about his experiences, because he's seen that conflict and now he's doing very interesting peace related activities. What he came up with is what is called a peace museum. He said, why do we have all these war memorials, war museums? No one talks about peace. So now he's trying to do that, which is, I think, commendable. I don't know why you. I'm sure you feel the same. It's. I think it's a very good thing.
Yeah, yeah, we need them.
Yeah, because I said, Donald, let me introduce you to people before we start, so that you at least know. Sultan is here. Sultan is in Turkey.
Hi, Sultan.
Listen,
So,
Hi.
so
hello.
only Sultan, the problem that she faces a bit is on the language.
That's okay. We'll work it out.
Yeah.
My father used to speak Turkish.
Yes, Sultan, did you hear that? Abe's father used to speak Turkish.
Yes, I speak Turkish, but a little speak English.
But
No
you can see,
problem.
but Donald, you can see the passion for mediation and to meet you. Language might be a problem, but she always comes in. She's like very enthusiastic about the whole thing about mediation. So, so now it is Donald. Donald, this is you now.
Let's do it.
You want to start? I think what we should do is we should actually start from childhood, because that's always a nice place to start. What do you think?
Yeah, that's fine. You know, my parents were married at age 18. They had me when they turned 20. It's quite difficult for a young family at young age getting married, as you can imagine. And then 2 years after I was born, my brother was born. And being my father was in the army and my mother was just a young mother, it was quite difficult for her to, to manage with the stress and to manage my father's, anger at times. And that was at the time she decided it was good for her to leave. We were homeless on multiple occasions. Life, for stability in life was really uncertain. It was more about survival. When my mother was 30, my grandfather made contact with her. So she met her father for the first time in her life. We come to know my grandfather as Reverend I.W. Wilson. He was a pastor in Las Vegas. And we moved from Kansas to Las Vegas. And that's where we grew up. And, my grandfather's house, he had rules. If you did not attend church every Sunday, the rule of his house was that you could not live in his house. So we were later moved to a very, very bad area where we witnessed scenes of prostitution, drugs, violence, and gang activity, and which prompted even metal detectors in the school. But for some reason, I was able to connect with my neighbors, and most of our neighbors in our complex were senior citizens, age 65 and up. And I found I took my time to take out their garbage and to assist them and to really just to keep them company through my younger years. I was 10 when we moved to that area, and I was 19 when we moved out. I graduated from high school from the Advanced Technologies Academy. It was a new design and education where I chose legal careers as my path to study. And after leaving Las Vegas, I moved back to Kansas to attend university.
But you realize, Donald, what you've done is this is a trailer of the whole show that you've done right now. We are going to go to every aspect. You remember that? We're not going to leave anything out. This is just like, I mean, you know that the longest show of that evolution of a mediator went on for 4 hours without a break.
Whoa, well, you know what? We may have to do a part 2 because my family's waiting for me on this Saturday to kind of hang out and show them around. So
we'll do as many parts as you want. Not a problem. We'll take it slowly, but we'll take it slowly.
Okay.
Because I'll tell you why it's important is because every experience of yours adds to what you are. And I want people to relate to the person, their experiences, because I mean, look, I'm saying that you have the mediator mindset today. You might not be practicing as a mediator, you're a lawyer, but mediation will be part of your activity as I see it. So that mindset, to get to that mindset, I feel that we must talk about it, which is not really spoken about. No one gets into the life. Everyone talks about, oh, so and so mediator. But how does he become a mediator? I mean, does he become one just by going for a training, or this is life experiences? So that is how. That's why it's important. So this is your mother and your brother with you, is that?
Yes.
But where was this? You said
this was in Wichita, Kansas. I had to be maybe 2 or 3.
And which?
3, no, maybe just 2. My brother was just maybe 6 months, maybe.
But any such recollections of that period? Anything?
Yeah, I do remember. I do remember that period. That was at a time my mother and my father split up, and my mother was living with my grandmother, her mother, for a short period.
But I think what happens is I think that mic, if you can come a little closer, the sound actually becomes a little low. That's
okay.
I mean,
I should have brought my mic, but that period was a time where my mother and my father split up, and we were living with my grandmother, my mother's mother at the time.
But I mean, was there something that you could understand from what was happening, or it was just something just going around you and you were not really so involved in that?
Well, I do remember, sadness. I remember my mother crying quite a bit. I do remember that. But I also remember happy times with my grandmother. She would really love on us and spoil us, and my aunts and my uncles were all there, and they just really loved us, and no one was really doing really well. We didn't come from a wealthy family, but what our wealth was the love that we showed and the respect towards one another. And I think that, for the most part, is what shaped me into the person I am today.
Yeah, because I think you can't put a value to that love. I mean, there is no
Yeah,
concept of that. I mean, it's worth billions of dollars according to me. Every
yeah,
moment, that one moment that you spend, you can spend billions of dollars and not get that moment. I mean, you don't get that moment. I think that's important. But where did your grandmother grow up?
my grandmother grew up in Chicago. My grandmother was born in Chicago and then raised in Oklahoma.
But did she tell you stories about her growing up? Some things that she
Yeah,
must have.
they grew up on a farm, agriculture family. They grew up on a farm. They raised their own chickens and beef and plowed the fields. And her grandfather was a hard working man and, and looked after the family really well. Her parents were hard workers as well. And yeah, she had a tough life, but she made it through. And sometimes it's the toughness, it's the tough times in life that shape us.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
life wouldn't be life without going through
No,
some of those
exactly.
trials and tribulations.
That's exactly what I was telling you. Those are very important. I mean, like I said again, you can't put a value to that because that lesson of life which you pick up, that's something which will carry on with you and with actually help you in a lot of things. At that moment might not be something that you want to maybe live through again. I don't know, but that lesson is going to be something important, I think.
That's correct.
But I tell you this, I don't know about this, about farms and chicken, because I don't know if you know Ken Cloak. He's like one world-renowned mediator in his conflict resolution activities, doing a lot of that thing there. So he was the first one who came on that show. And again, there was chicken and there was the farm, and he was actually selling chickens and eggs, and
Yeah.
how he started from there. So, do you think there's a connection there?
There may be. I don't know. And back in that day in America, everyone worked the farm and lived off the land.
Yeah,
Grocery stores weren't as prevalent as they are today. Fast food was pretty much non-existent. So you find that that generation of people are a lot healthier because everything was organically grown and organically prepared. So uh, my one of my grandmothers is 99 and the other is 85. So it's a it's a real beautiful thing,
yeah.
to see them live so long and so strong.
Exactly. And the kind of, I mean, in terms of dignity of labor, I mean, really doing everything. So there's no concept of something being too low to you to do. You do everything. I mean, whatever you have to do. But look, Kapil has some, Kapil, you can come in. Don't write comments. Just come in. Just say what you want to say. Because this is a conversation which we're having. Kapil is a lawyer in India. He's like a tech lawyer. He's going to become
Hi.
our tech lawyer.
Hey, Vikram. Thank you, and hi, Donald. Hi, Abe. Great to see you guys. Hi, Sultan. So, I think it's great to see you, and great. Thank you, Vikram, for organizing this. I think Donald, maybe it'll be interesting to. I'm basically from a tech background. I'm working with this company called Autodesk as their hello, and I'm working as their general counsel for India.
Yeah.
Also have had a chance to work with companies like Schlumberger and IBM. Now, my question to you is, you seem to have made a move to Australia, from what I could gather recently. So all of us look at ourselves as global lawyers, especially somebody who's in technology, who's worked across the world. So how do you adjust to a country where you've not lived earlier, and also how does the family become part of that entire movement is something I'll be very keen to know, because while say I've been very keen to move to Boston and I'd love to move to San Francisco, but the family has to really pick up the pieces and follow, especially when you have small kids. So it'll be interesting to hear your insights on how that moves worked out for you, and how did you really get the family prepared.
But
Well, my wife was from Australia. I met my wife in Australia, and our children are Australian born. So I didn't have that much of an obstacle to overcome. But I do have friends who have uprooted and packed up and moved from the United States to Australia. I personally believe it's just it's look, life is boring if you just sit down and let it, waste away. I wouldn't say waste away, but I mean, it's adventurous to open a new chapter into a new land in a new country and learn a new language or a way of doing things. I think that gives you that flavor of the one life we all have to live. We get one. So I don't think it takes much convincing when you tell your family, well, this country offers universal health care, a great livable wage, I can advance in career and opportunity. There's so many opportunities here. The environment is beautiful, it's clean, there are standards. It's not a hard sell when you look at it from what a country can offer. As an American, I do miss America. I am an American and a proud American, but I do love Australia, and Australia is my new home. I can say in the first 3 years or so, it was difficult to really succumb to the fact that this will be my forever home. But then when I realized I've traveled here over 5 years, my wife and I did a 5-year back and forth international relationship. When I realized I can get on an airplane and be home in a day, that makes sense. Yes, COVID now has, upset the apple cart a bit, but I've been in Australia long enough to not have any desire to really go back home as often as I did prior to, my life and my career here. So I think it's all about making a keen decision to turn the chapter and open a new chapter. I wouldn't be opposed to spending some time in my wife's native land of Sri Lanka one of these days, just to open up a third chapter. Who knows? Only life will tell us, as long as we continue to walk each step and each journey along the way.
But Donald, this is where the different formats of the two shows happen. In that evolution of a mediator, I would not let you go to Australia. We are right now sitting at you at 2 years old. That is where I wouldn't have let you go there. This is where that difference is there. But I bet with your grandmother and those people, you don't have any photographs of that period.
Not of that period. I do have them, but I'll have to check into my files.
It was always interesting. It's interesting to see that. I mean, it's always.
Yeah.
But let me see. If I have one of the other photographs you said, I don't know what period this would be, but this would be.
Yeah, that's Las Vegas. When we were, I think I was roughly 11 or 12. My brother must have been 10 there.
Okay, so
And
basically,
my mother was 32.
okay, so we have now. Okay, so now to this period, we won't go so fast. I'm going to take you slowly through. Like I told you, this is going to be a very, very slow process. But then, I mean, in terms of growing up, what do you remember of that period?
Of that period, it was tough. That period there was really tough. We lived in a very tough area in Las Vegas. It was, but it was a. Las Vegas trained me to live in the world. Las Vegas prepared me for what was to come, and it gave me the grit that I needed to really walk through life and to get through some of the toughest times I had ever experienced and witnessed some of the most horrific things I've experienced. That period prepared me to become a senator. But also, again, the love and the village of people there. Not all are bad. People often say, when you come from a difficult area, the thought is that everyone in that area or that time was a bad person. No, there were very good-hearted people who were just bad on their luck and just didn't come from a wealthy background. And so it was those people, those grassroots folks that I had an opportunity to meet, love, and connect with. And I continue to reach out to them to this day. But it was those people that call it how they see it. They didn't need to put on airs for anyone. They kept it as real could get. And those are the people that sometimes are the most genuine at heart and will be honest and open and frank with you when the time is needed. So I often reach back to that period in my mind when it comes to just really being a genuine person and sincere, because life is too short and people are going through too many problems to be railroaded, bamboozled, or led astray. So that period was a time of survival. It really was a time to survive and to get to know who people were. It was also a time I met some of my friends' mothers who embraced me. In fact, a lady by the name of Apignia Dagley, my friend Neha Dagley's mother, really opened her up and introduced me to Indian vegetarian and helped me study and read and all of those things, who embraced me. So my friends in that era from other neighborhoods, my school friends, their parents grew a liking to me and opened that door, as well as my friend Carrie Shorty, her mother, and her parents embraced me. So it was a time of community and a village that saw something in me that I just didn't quite see in myself at the time. And as a result, they nurtured me and mentored me along the way.
One thing that I'm going to keep telling you, you don't mind, I'm going to tell you, please come a little closer because we don't want to miss out on those things that you're saying. But that name, like the name of the person got missed out. That the person, that the Indian family that you were talking about, that name got missed.
Abby Dagley.
Okay. So that's important. Maybe someday she's going to be listening to this. And
From Mumbai, originally from Mumbai.
no, but exactly what I said. There's such nice people out there that, of course, look, negativity through news and other things. That's the only thing that people look at. There was this peace conference that there was in the morning. I was attending the one session there, and this is telling those children that there is so much good that is happening in the world. Just focus on that. Use social media for that. Connect to good people. Ask them about their good experiences. This negativity that is around us. So like you're saying, I mean, the people that you met in Las Vegas, people should know that there are good people out there. Circumstances can be what they are. I mean, you can't change. So everyone's circumstances will be different, but inside them, they want to do good. And you just have to bring that out. I think that's what it is. But then what were you doing? I mean, your mother was working there. How did you manage your house?
Well, it was all survival, really. I was the oldest son. We would go to school. At that age, we'd go to school. My mother would not work. She depended a lot on the government subsidized payments, because had she left to work, there was no one to look after us. So she sacrificed those years until I turned 16 and my brother was old enough to kind of manage himself. And then she would work in the casino, or as an extra in the movies industry. So it was that era, that time was about survival. It was a tough time economically, financially. It was really, really tough. But we made it, by the grace of God, we made it out and pulled through,
So like I said,
and
so you're going to tell us about the good things that you experienced. The movie industry, were you exposed to anything in terms of the shooting and other things that your mother was part of?
No, I wasn't. I was too active in school and my extracurricular activities in the neighborhood. My brother and I were in a drum squad in the neighborhood, and we played drums. And school was something that I really, really focused on. I loved school. I enjoyed it. I would stay after school and take the late bus home if I could. But for the most part, around that time, I spent a lot of time with the elders in the community, listening to their stories and their journey in life and their walk in life. And that's where I spent most of my time. I did have friends in the neighborhood, and we would hang out and play games or something. But for the most of the time at that age, I was in the neighborhood within our circle and our sector, looking after the senior citizens.
But which means that I'll have to start another show called Evolution of a Senator. I think that by itself will be one
Wow.
story. Because all these things are important. I think what you just said, actually, that should be the foundation. And I'm sure it is for most of them, must be like that. They must have seen the world, seen the country, their own cities from a different angle altogether. So, so much is happening.
Yeah.
But Abe Sultan, Kapil, you want to come in at any time? Please come in. Just or maybe you can raise your hand and you can come in because
I think I don't want to fast forward because Vikram won't let me, but I will stay in the childhood era. Uh, I can see a lot of what you're saying that I can relate to my childhood. I found a lot of positive things in my hardship at times. How was it for you? How did you find anything positive in your childhood that really equipped you to deal with everyday issues?
Oh yeah, I mean, I attended church. I still continue to attend church every Sunday, where I can see my grandfather, a very strong man at 6'4", strong voice. He was the first African American to run for mayor of Las Vegas. He was a very active in social justice, very well respected in the community. So to see him and see him in the pulpit and give a message, or to see him help members in the community, I looked to him and it made me proud. I wanted to make him proud. So anything that I did was always in the back of my mind, a consciously thinking that I also represent my grandfather. The community was we had great times. We had fun. I would say the good outweighed the bad. It was really close though, but the good did outweigh the bad. My mother made it fun. She taught us how to cook. She did us, she taught us what she could teach us. She was a track, in high school, she was a track star. So we did a lot of running. We did a lot of reading. She kept us as active as she could in the environment that we were in, which was very difficult to come out. Most families did not all walk out of that area alive. Someone within the unit was murdered, either by a drive-by shooting or some act of violence or prison. We were able to make it out alive, is what I often remind her. Although my brother later on lost his life, we were able to make it out of that era, that segment, and that chapter of our lives alive. And but with a lot of lessons, a lot of tools of survival, a lot of heartache and pain, but a lot of joy and a lot more family that we walked in with, we walked out. And I think that was a very beautiful thing. We left with more family members, more village members than we initially walked in. My grandfather, I would say, his reputation preceded him. So when they found out who we were, even though he had moved us into this area, once we were known as Reverend Wilson's grandchildren and my mother, his daughter, everyone had a sense of respect for us. So although he was not there, his reputation covered us. And I found that very amusing and very, highly respectful. I would often say I'm Reverend Wilson's grandson, and everyone would know who Reverend Wilson was. So that was a highlight. Almost a shield of protection, so to speak.
So, Donald, what you're going to do is, one, you're going to tell us about the good things that your grandfather told you, and the other thing, the good things that Reverend Wilson told you. Both of them, because for you, both of them were merged together. But as a grandfather, there's so many nice things he must have told you, which you must have learned from. So, both the things you have to tell us.
Well, yeah, no, my grandfather, I think he was just a very stern man. He had escaped the South. He had escaped a lynching in the 1920s, 1930s. He had escaped a lynching from the South, and that's what moved him from Louisiana. He met my grandmother in Oklahoma, and they split because she did not want to travel with him. So he was headed to California. So he continued on the journey and left her in Oklahoma, not realizing that had a daughter on the way. Some things happened, of course, as relationships do, and he moved to California to begin his church. He studied at Langston University. He's to get his divinity degree, and then he moved on to California, built churches there, and then finally built churches in Las Vegas. One thing I asked my grandfather before he passed away, he was about 90 years old when he gave his blessing to my wife and I. And I said, well, Grandpa, do you have any regrets after all these years? And he said, grandson, the only regret I have is not attending law school. After all these years, and he's done everything that any man could do in his life, very successful in his own right. The only regret that he had was not attending law school. And it was at that point I told him that I would get a degree for the both of us. I would achieve that feat for the both of us. But the Reverend Wilson and the grandpa were one man, a true man to himself and to us. As Reverend Wilson, he had us to memorize Psalms 23, Proverbs 1 through 13, Proverbs 3, 1 through 13, and the Lord's Prayer. So I can remember that from the Reverend Wilson. Scripture was of utmost importance in his life, and he made sure that his children and grandchildren also knew Scripture and guiding principles that will help us along our journey.
But Donald, his experiences in the South, did he speak about that? I mean, did it in any way come up in conversation?
He did speak about it. He spoke in detail about it. I have a recording somewhere on an old computer. Something's been telling me you need to get that recording, and digitize it or whatever. But yeah, he spoke in length about his experience. But for the purposes of this first episode, for those purposes, that's what I remember most about his regrets. The rest was, again, lived experiences that shaped him into the man that he had become. And as my experience have shaped me into the man that I am today.
Yeah, I think maybe we need to, at whatever point of time, I think we need to also talk about his story, because I'm sure that is a very important part about in your life. And I think that's something we need to, whatever you remember, whatever you can recollect, I think whatever you want to, we can do it another episode, wherever. But I think that'd be important.
My grandfather was raised by his grandmother. And that's all I know. There are a few other stories. I know the land, but I'm not as keen on. I didn't really. I haven't documented his past, but I wasn't as. I didn't dig deep then, because what I know now, if I'd known then, I would make sure I really dug deep, but I didn't. But I just knew my grandfather for who he was and who he was at the present, and followed him along that journey. He did speak candidly about his past on a recording that I have. I'll have to dig that up, and if it's appropriate, I may or may not share it. But we'll
I'll tell you,
see.
Donald, why it's
important. Permissions from my mother and family members first.
No, why it's important is because, like I was talking about Abe, he was part of that conflict. He saw the worst, what people can be. But after that, it doesn't seem to have any bitterness. So I'm just thinking from your grandfather's perspective also, maybe there was no bitterness. If he, I don't know, I mean, that you would be able to tell.
There was a lot of forgiveness.
Yeah.
And you also learn that along the way too, because to forgive someone else, you give yourself permission to live. When you hold a grudge, you stay stagnant. You don't move forward. So you have to have a forgiving heart to release yourself. Those that feel like they need to hold a grudge or you'll never be forgiven type of attitude, well, they will always be in a place of unforgiveness, which means they cannot move forward and walk into their next dominion until they learn to forgive. And that will release those chains and those bondages.
Because I'm telling you, one of the experiences that Abe spoke about was, as a little child, I mean, here, of course, him and his siblings are in their house, and these jets, these fighter jets, were flown so close to their house that he says the entire earth shook. It was like frightening for them. It was frightening in the sense, one, because of the noise you couldn't sleep, and the days it was not flying, in the anticipation you could not sleep. So it was into his brain. I mean, those kind of things that you people you see. What do you think, Abe? Abe, you want to tell us how the forgiveness came in you?
It's really, I mean, when you see so much violence and repeated every day, and there's no end to it, sometimes you think, does violence resolve any issue? Does violence really resolve the conflict? Because if it does, I relate it back to physical discipline by my parents. Whenever they hit me because they disciplined me, I said, if I learned any lesson, I wouldn't be doing the same thing again. And if they believed that hitting would teach me something, then they have failed. Because they keep hitting me every time I make something wrong. So really, hitting and physical violence, it does not solve the problem. We need to have a dialogue. We need to have a talk. And this is really what I changed about myself. And this is where I hid it in my early childhood, at the age of 14, when I started going to Sunday schools, that they have open mind about other things other people do. It's not just what I was born with. And this is a start the journey connecting with others who don't believe what you believe in.
But the main thing is that forgiveness, that part of it, is one thing that is the good step. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes, Sultan.
Yes, maybe I didn't good, but I think we are live a different country, but same story, because and I think mother and grandmother is very important people, all people, children. I born in Tunceli, East Turkey, Eastern Turkey. Now I live in Ankara. I'm lawyer, and a long time I study in government lawyer. 2013, I learned mediation and nonviolent communication, Marshall Rosenberg. It's very important for me, and our country people, it's don't speak, don't like speak. They conflict. It's very well. I learned nonviolent communication and mediation. Peer mediation, it's very important. We use it school, and it's important for me. Maybe I good don't speak, but I understand little. Thanks this topic. Thanks everybody.
Yeah, Sultan, what we'll do is we'll have you on the show. We'll get a interpreter, Turkish English interpreter. We'll have you on the show. We have to hear your story. It'll be an important story to hear. So Donald, but Donald, I mean, are you going to give us limited time, or are you, because I told you, time is not a factor here. You can take as long as you want. But
yeah, just 5 o'clock, maybe this segment, and I'm happy to come on again, maybe next month or something.
Okay, but where are you right now?
I'm in Torquay, Victoria. We're on a holiday because Victoria just opened up. We were on lockdown for a couple of weeks, so we just decided to take a road trip with the kids and my wife, and come on down to Torquay.
Are we going to say hi to them?
Yeah, if they come back, then I'll bring them on.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the whole idea is that, like I told you, living room conversation. Very different. I'm telling you, that other show earlier, I told you why not that show. Now I realized that we need to have both the formats. There has to be one casual conversation, have people come in. That's also important, because that one gets very serious. Because that is like, there is no break. We go straight into life and every moment of life. So
I've been, Vikram, I've been to Turkey. Sultan, I've been to Ankara and Antalya and Istanbul and the Blue Mosques. I really enjoyed my time there and visited some schools and everything. It was a remarkable time in Turkey. Beautiful country.
but the pictures that you
And
sent me, in those pictures, is there a picture? What was that city that where you had?
I think that's Israel. I don't.
Okay.
I have to pull my Turkish pictures and my the pictures from Jordan as well. That was just real quick. I haven't had a chance to send you all of those.
So imagine you have Abe, who grew up in Jordan, so you could show him some parts of Jordan which he might not have seen, and Sultan might have seen or not seen some parts of Turkey. You can show her that. So that's a good thing. I think that's what we're going to do. Next time is going to be larger number of photographs. I kept telling you, please give me pictures, send me pictures.
I'll get you some more.
Yep. But right now we're at your grandfather, but Reverend was giving you, of course, on the scriptures and everything. You want to tell us some good things that Christianity tells us, the Bible tells us? You want to take us
Well,
through?
yeah. Well, Proverbs 3:1-4. Proverbs says, "My son, do not forget my law, but let your heart keep my commandments. For length of days and long life and peace they will add to you. Let not mercy and truth forsake you. Bind them around your neck and write them on the tablet of your heart, so you may find favor and high esteem in the sight of God and man. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. It will be health to your flesh and strength to your bones." And then it goes on. So it's Proverbs is a just life lessons on how to live a good life. Just like the Quran and other scripts in different other religions, there's all that. It's always that good element to teach you to be a good person. And then also there's scriptures to let you know that life's troubles will always be, but it's the way you handle them and conduct yourself through those challenges, which will make you fare well coming out of that struggle. And that's what a lot of what I've learned in that process from my grandfather, and now my pastor, and of course my family and my grandparents and my aunts and uncles always have that level of encouragement, and some come through the scripture. But it's part of living a good, wholesome, respectful life and respecting others along the way. And that's what I take away from it.
The main thing is we have to put you in the same position that you're right now. The mic quality was much better right now. That last sentence that you gave was perfect. Otherwise, I'm telling you, there's such nice things that you're telling us, but because of the volume, I don't want those things to be missed out.
Yeah, usually I record from home, and then I have to have set up, and it's easy to project. But next time.
Yeah, exactly. No issue. But tell me, are you going to take after your grandfather? Are we going to see Reverend Donald Betts Jr.?
I don't think so. Maybe, I don't know. It all depends on the Lord's in store. Then just have to walk in that. If that's what he says to do, then that's what I will do. But I just have to get that word in that direction.
Okay, now that means another show. Evolution of a reverend. So many things. I mean, a person can go in any direction. That means you could have gone in that direction also. But I think the signal quality is an issue, I think. But Abe, is signal quality a problem in Australia? Yes, Abe?
Sorry. Yeah.
Is signal quality a problem? I mean,
No, it depends which part of Australia or city you live. But I mean, I'm in Sydney. Donald is in Melbourne,
no,
which is about 8 hours away from here.
No, he's traveling right now. He's traveling somewhere. He said, Kapil, what is the place he said? He's, the place in Victoria that he's gone to?
The Victor, his travel, it's still maybe there are some dark spots, even in Sydney. When you're traveling, there are certain spots that are not covered by signal. But really, I mean, the internet is quite good here.
Okay.
It depends which network you are with as well.
Or maybe
Some networks are better than others.
so maybe the place that he's staying in, maybe the issue might be in that place.
Usually, that's right. If they are in a hotel, for instance, the hotel Wi-Fi is not as good as somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Sultan, is there some friend of yours who's good at English and Turkish? Can we get someone for next show? We're going to do a show with you for sure. Either you get a friend with you, or I'll find someone.
I don't understand. Please.
We need someone, some friend of yours who's good at English and Turkish, so that
Yes.
when you are on my show, that person will translate.
No, I understand.
We have to find.
Maybe.
We'll find someone. We'll find someone. Not a problem. We'll definitely find someone. But Kapil, you want to tell us what is the tech news these days?
Yeah, sure, Vikram. Thanks. So I think what's going on in the world of tech and law is we're obviously seeing a lot of automation come in. So I was just part of this Financial Times Innovative Lawyers Summit earlier this week. This is done by a lady whose name is Reena Sengupta, RSG Consulting in London. Now, and it's all available online. Happy to share the links and all. What's emerging out of that is, with increasing technology coming into the profession, both for in-house lawyers and private practitioners, the demands are increasing in terms of offering more nimble and agile advice. So everybody is modernizing their practices. You keep hearing about digital transformation, etc. But what's also happening is the role of lawyers is also increasing in the ESG initiatives, because there's nobody else in the company to look after environment, sustainability, and governance. So lawyers are also becoming chief ESG or chief sustainability officers. That's a new trend. You keep hearing about everybody talking about artificial intelligence, blockchain. Those are huge buzzwords. And then there is this huge emergence of alternative legal service providers, ALSPs. So what's happening is some companies are kind of seeing the value in giving commoditized regular work to these legal tech startups or alternative service providers. To give you an example, Accenture in India has a team of 400 lawyers. And when you kind of look at what work these 400 lawyers do, is they basically turn around quick contracts through automated tools. They do contract review, contract analysis. And since they are available 24/7 or they are working across time zones, Accenture is able to turn around these contracts pretty quickly. Likewise, companies like Lenovo, IBM, they've all set up huge contracting centers of excellence in India because one, you're getting high quality talent. The quality of our lawyers is kind of world class, and you're also getting them at very competitive costs. So there's a cost arbitrage and a cost leverage.
But Kapil, what you have to, Let to go. I'll tell you, in this whole thing, while you're telling us this, also fit in how in the whole new tech atmosphere, where does mediation fit in? Where all can we fit in mediation?
Absolutely, great question. So Vikram, what's happening is we are seeing a lot of demand for quick resolution of disputes. Now, in India, if you see a large bank, ICICI Bank, they are one of our largest consumer banks. They've set up and they are giving a huge encouragement to ODR, online dispute resolution. So what they're saying is for small claims like credit card claims, or a customer who's say applied for a loan and he or she hasn't got back and has a dispute, they don't encourage these customers to go and visit the bank. They have a very simple process. They've opened up channels online where you can quickly fill up a simple form. It's through a type form format, and one can easily, kind of say, hey, I applied for a credit card, it didn't turn up, or you've charged me extra cost on my credit card, etc. What ICICI Bank is doing is they're quickly appointing online mediators. They've tied up with these ODR service providers who look at the dispute, and I think they charge a very nominal fee from the customer, or in some cases the bank even absorbs that fee and pays the mediator on their own. So we are seeing the emergence of this, online channels, and a bunch of Indian startups has come up, and they are kind of acting as a marketplace between both the consumer and the mediators. So that is opening up new opportunities for lawyers, especially mediators, to offer their services. I'll also give a second example, Vikram, Sultan, and Abe, on the field that I'm active in, which is intellectual property disputes. So we have something called the Delhi High Court Mediation Center.
Don't even talk about it, okay? We don't talk about the courts.
Okay,
We didn't hear anything. No court-related mediation centers we don't talk about, because I think that's the worst thing that is happening for the profession. Profession is not going to develop. The kind of fees that they charge is nothing. How does a mediator sustain himself only as a mediator? So now what you have to tell us actually out of this, Kapil, is, are mediators, should they be concerned that machine learning and artificial intelligence, will it replace mediators in some kinds of matters? Have you looked at that?
Great, that's a great question, Vikram. So this is actually the most important argument that we are facing, especially because I've been studying a lot of AI, data ethics, and models. Now, what's happening is, in some instances, machines are becoming all powerful. So I'll give you an example about myself. I was applying for jobs, and I was in the middle of a career transition recently, and I applied for a job at Google. Now, my resume was rejected in less than 6 hours. And I was supposed to have a great, fantastic international resume. When I reached out to my counterpart in Google and I asked them what happened, they said, look, your first level of resume review happens by an algorithm. It's not a human reviewing it. And I was shocked. I said, hey, I put together a lot of effort putting together a cutting edge resume. And they said, look, the algorithm picks up the keywords in a job description. They then match that job description with your resume. And only if there's a 60 or a 70% match will your resume actually go to the headhunter or to the next level. So you see, and this is just a question of recruitment. There are algorithms in all walks of life, including bank loan applications, credit card checks, and education. So coming back to the question, Vikram, on whether algorithms will replace lawyers, my view is, look, algorithms will come to the aid of lawyers and mediators to help them do their work quickly and more efficiently, but you will always need a human mind to review what an algorithm does. And when clients are paying you value in top dollars and pounds and rupees for reviewing a contract and for providing legal advice, they will ask for the human intervention more than what a machine is doing. Machines are there to give you, review reams and reams of evidence and several thousand documents. But ultimately, the opinion has to be vetted by a human lawyer. And I think that's the value that the clients are expecting now. The clients, mind you, are very, very clever. They have learned that law firms and individual lawyers are heavily dependent on technology. They are now asking for, what is the extra value you are offering on the table for which we should be paying you, say, a $500 an hourly rate. So in the ultimate analysis, it is what value a human lawyer can offer on top of an algorithm. Yeah. So I would say you are actually competing with an algorithm already, because tomorrow if the profession gets taken over, and you're already seeing it, right? Low-end commoditized work like, say, reviewing an NDA is not even coming to lawyers. It's all being done by automated platforms.
Yeah,
So
but you'll focus on the mediation part, okay? Always. Here you'll only talk about. No, I'll tell you why I was talking about that. Like you said mentioned ODR. Now the online dispute resolution in large companies like say eBay, I think a lot of it is machine driven. I mean, they just do it. So,
correct.
so that part of it, I don't know. Look, I don't know whether you should be mediator should be concerned because I think low value can be handled there, and
Yes.
I think the better high value matters will still, I think, need human intervention, like you said. But I don't know what Abe has to say. Abe has something to say on this.
Well, I believe that, yeah, look, machines will never replace a mediator, no matter how much they try and how much closer to the human brain or even exceeding the human brain, they will not be able, because I think mediation is about personal connection with the parties. It's about understanding, it's about empathy, it's about all of other emotions and feelings that we need to really convey and receive and response. It's much different than anything else. Machines will not be able to do it. They cannot think on their feet. They are programmed to think this certain way. It's not like a human who will respond differently for every different question. But the machine hear the same question, they will have the same response. So because they're programmed, they're not really thinking for themselves. That's really
But
my
Abe,
thought.
let me tell you, Abe, we might
But
be saying that today. We might be saying that today, but you'll be very
absolutely,
surprised what is happening at the back and what all machines are becoming capable of doing.
it's true. I mean, look, we never thought we would have the same technology today what we have today 20 years ago. I mean, sure enough. But I still believe there are certain things it's need that human connection.
No, hey, I'll tell you what, something. Look at it this way. There are a lot of things that a child learns. And I think most of it is what it sees around in it, their environment, the language that the parents are speaking, the gestures that they're doing, what they tell the child. So if you actually have machines watching all that, so if they keep watching mediations and you've put the cameras there, you've got the mics there, and if they go on listening to everything, you will be very surprised the kind of computing power that is available today. You don't know what all they keep picking up. Your words are being picked up. What actually led to the settlement? I mean, look, there are so many combinations definitely that happen in a room. There's so many the unique parties, the unique media, everything's happening. But these machines picking up so much data, Kapil, of course, will give us more insight into that, but it can be learned. I'm just saying that let's not say that it can't be learned, because technology is what it is, just actually picking up information from places, processing it, and then putting it out. In what output, in what way, we don't know. Kapil, do you have any view on that?
Hmm.
Sure, Vikram, absolutely. So Vikram, you're absolutely right. Now, you have programs in terms of, automatically voice transcription services are available. Just the other day, I was trying a new algorithm. It's available actually online, where it's essentially a voice transcription service where you invite. It's called Notekeeper. It's an AI based platform, and what you do is you invite a notekeeper onto your Zoom and Teams meetings. They'll just show up and they'll say notekeeper.io Kapil. It'll add, and they'll automatically create an audio recording of your meeting, so you don't have to record it. It'll also create an automatic transcript of your entire meeting. So it won't take name, but it'll say speaker one, speaker two. So what that does is, we are in so many meetings all day, and if you have a transcription service which is sending you transcripts of the calls you are in, it helps you better organize yourself. So there are also now algorithms coming which will be able to detect your facial patterns, your emotions, and emotions, as Abe was saying, play a huge role in mediation, right? So who knows, right? Who knows tomorrow, a mediator is sitting in a room and conducting a mediation, and with the aid of these technologies, they're able to also see the analytics behind, or the science behind how a person is emoting, so and what value will that play in settlement, or mediation settlement ultimately happening. So, from voice transcription services to automating a lot of technology, there is increasing emphasis on adding more value in mediations as and other proceedings, and you'll see a lot of them playing a very important role in offering more bang for the buck, right? So clients are going to demand it, mediators will have to start offering it, and I also see it as a very important differentiating factor. So let's say you go to a technology based client, right, and you say, hey, I'm offering my mediation services, and I'm a qualified mediator, trained mediator, but I also have XYZ, which is an extra or a differentiating factor to my competitors. So I think that also becomes an important part in how you are evaluated.
Yeah, but I think Abe, in a way, what he's saying is that, like you have in interrogation, you have lie detectors. Now you will have a machine which is going to read each aspect of what the person is saying, what that emotion, pick everything up, and then okay, human intervention in the sense that information goes to the human mediator to start with, and the mediator then takes that information and takes it forward. So I think.
What happens if we need to mediate between the machine and the human?
What is that?
What happens if we need to mediate between the machine and the human?
That's going to happen. I'm telling you,
If the machine makes a mistake or something wrong, I think we need to remind ourselves at times. And I think, look, everything is possible. I'm not saying nothing can be done, but the challenge is here. We're not all the same homogeneous species. We don't think the same. We don't behave the same. We don't really do everything. You might have the same one problem, but the way we deal with the problem is different from one person to another, from one culture to another. How the machine going to detect all those differences? Although, yes, I might appear a Palestinian, but I'm thinking Australian, or I could be thinking Indian, or whatever else where I am, or a combination. How that going to happen? Because my thinking is not the same as someone who is a pure of one culture. Even within the culture, there are variations.
I'll tell you what, Abe, what I'm looking at is if that happens, that all this information, if we can actually, one is, of course, mediations in general, if we can actually have these machines processing all that, let's come out at the end output, if that is one common chain between human beings all over the world and what works with all of them. Some general principle comes out in terms of the thoughts which will be common between them, what can actually work in terms of getting them together, maybe some kind of benefit that can come there. I think that should be nice if they can work on that part.
Sure. And Vikram, can I quickly, will you allow me to share my screen
Yeah,
for a
please, one
moment?
sec. Yes, one sec. Yeah, please.
Okay, great. So, I thought this is just hot off the press, right? To give you an example. So, can you see my screen now?
Just about.
Yes.
It's just starting off.
Okay, great.
Yeah, now we can.
Okay, so this one just came out from the Law Society UK. Now, this is on Future Worlds 2050 Images of the Future. I won't go through it. I've just shared with you a link on the chat window. So, and there's a report. This is just a summary. Essentially, what you're seeing is geopolitical dynamics, what's going to happen, Brexit, US presidency. We spoke about AI. 85% of the jobs in 2030 do not yet exist. So there'll be new jobs emerging, new skill sets emerging. 80% of the world's population will have a digital identity. So you can see, all of us already, this is our digital identity speaking to each other, right? Who knows? And as I was saying, data, ethics, and trust, you'll see the EU has come up with a new set of AI regulations. You will see a lot of emphasis on data-driven trust, ethics, and regulations. Increasing competition. I know Australia has a new AI framework. India has an AI framework. You'll see dramatic competition between US and China on who takes the lead on AI. Changing environment. We spoke about ESG, UN sustainable goals. So, net, what's going to happen is, increasing emphasis on, increasing your digital identity. A lot of the work will move online. So I think one will have to see how how a lawyer responds, or how a mediator in fact responds to these geopolitical dynamics.
But
And
I
you
think,
can read the report at your leisure.
no, but
But I
Kapil,
thought,
a couple important thing that you have to do is that you have to basically try and look at how AI and machine learning and tech in general can help in connecting people in that part of it. And you should have a session with us on a regular basis on that. We want,
sure,
you look
absolutely.
like Abe is working for, we're all working towards peace in the world. So we have to see where we can get help from tech on that. Yes, Abe?
Absolutely.
Abe, that sounds good.
Absolutely.
I think,
Excellent.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be really useful. Where all it can be used. I mean, must be so many things we haven't even thought about. Which, because I'll tell you why Kapil is important. Why am I having this discussion with him? Is because he's the tech lawyer that we have. He's like working a lot on that area, and I feel that is the area we need to look at. Let's not say that it's not in our world. Mediation has nothing to do with it, or peace has nothing to do with it. I think it can all fit in, and we should not let it get left out, and we should not get left out of that.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, absolutely. Happy to contribute, Vikram. I mean, your success is my success, frankly. So happy to contribute to each of your success and professional success.
And I'll tell you,
I think,
yeah,
sorry, I think your next challenge, Kapil, is the cryptocurrency laws.
Yes, absolutely.
That the tech and the law surrounding that area of, because
what is, Kapil will tell us what is the situation right now on.
Right. Okay, great. So absolutely, Abe, you're absolutely right. So blockchain and crypto is obviously the next frontier. Earlier this week, I was in a Dubai, the DIFC, which is Dubai International Financial Center, hosts a lot of workshops on blockchain and crypto, because as you know, Dubai is positioning itself as the hub for blockchain and emerging fintech. You're talking about neo banks, the new kind of banks coming in. Importantly for mediators, I think it's important to understand what a distributed ledger technology or a trust-based decentralized platform like blockchain looks like. How does it work? Increasingly, they are talking about smart contracts, which is contracts embedded where you will not have reams and reams of paper. And very fondly heard about this new thing called the non-fungible tokens, NFTs. So NFTs are nothing but, say you create a digital art or a painting, and you want to assign an IP ownership to that asset, which is digital in nature. NFTs are now non-fungible tokens, which will help you assign a dollar value to that asset. And there are very, very smart lawyers all across the world. I was speaking to a few of them in the UK who are now creating non-fungible token contracts. This is the next level for an intellectual property lawyer to get into. And these contracts are not running into reams and reams of pages. They could be, say, 5 or 10 pages long. But what is interesting is, say I want to create an NFT contract, and I have an asset that's underlying, or a painting which I want to create into an NFT. What I'll have to do is I'll have to work with lawyers and engineers who will first look at, hey, what is the kind of value I want to assign to that IP? Do I want to make it transferable tomorrow to my children or to my family? So what kind of transfer rights, asset ownership rights, will lie in that asset? And then, once the lawyers have gathered all this data, they then work with the owner of that creation and create an NFT, non-fungible token-based contract. So it's a brave new world. We are still studying, getting to grips with it. There are, increasingly very agile and innovative law firms who've taken the lead on this. So, you're absolutely right, Abe. We'll see a lot of action. India is emerging, obviously, as a fintech hub. There are places in the Middle East, the UK, and I spoke about Dubai, Bahrain, etc. So you will see a lot of innovation, and laws obviously will have to catch up, because innovation and technology will always outpace lawyers. So
No,
very fascinating world
what
that
I've done is Abe and Sultan Kapil. I've sent a link on the chat. This is someone who's actually got into how in the dispute resolution space,
Nice.
blockchain. He's also a part of that. Is he's speaking about blockchain being a part of it, and it's already
Right.
happening. It's already happening. So you Kapil will have a look at it. We'll also have. I've had a look. I've seen that, but have a look at it and see where you can explain it to us in even a better manner.
absolutely.
So the things happening now. Yeah, there was another thing I was watching about in the art industry, in how mediation is coming in there, and how technology is actually also being used. Of in that, what came up was how there are NFCs which are being used in that, where you put it in the while in the painting itself, something interesting things are happening. I mean, Kapil, you have to educate us on this. All this, I think, is going to be a very interesting session. Yes,
Absolutely.
Sultan, you were
Absolutely.
saying
So
something.
let
Sultan
me,
was saying something.
I'll
Sultan was
come
saying
back.
something.
I'll come back to you. I'll design a proper class and I'll come back.
And this has you have to do on a regular basis. That's because the way tech is changing, we'll have to keep with it. I think it sounds really interesting. We'll have to call it something: mediation, technology and mediation, right? We-
Absolutely.
We'll have a
Yes.
We
session.
could call it the tech mediator.
Yeah, okay, whatever. So I think really makes sense, because this is something which people would really not know how many what all is happening. If you watch this YouTube video, you'll actually see that there is activity which we would not have known about. And this
Yeah.
is something which is happening at the background.
It's fast moving.
Yeah, so much is happening.
It is.
How in there are, I think they were talking about arbitrations where blockchain is being used in arbitrations, and
Mhm.
I mean, I have a look at it. Yeah,
I mean, because I mean, the other issue, the challenging issue is here because some countries banned it, some countries don't recognize it, some countries will not have anything to do with it, and it's only a handful of countries who really agree with it. But then you have the International Monetary Fund, who also is a player, the World Bank as well.
yeah.
There are so many players in the whole thing. There's no, there's uncertainty at this point in time.
No, basically, Abe, what you have to see is, look, cryptocurrency is just one part, but blockchain is being used for lots of things. Basically,
Absolutely.
so blockchain and contracts. Kapil will tell us how blockchain is being used in contracts and a lot of areas. So I think that part of it, we really need to look at how blockchain can be used in
Hmm.
dispute resolution, specifically mediation. If something can come up, I don't know where it can come up,
Absolutely.
but
Yeah.
you have to.
With the smart contracts, they're coming in September, most likely introduced.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But Sultan was saying something. Sultan, you were saying something.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
It's for important
Fun.
Conversation.
yes, it's important online resolution.
Yeah.
And we study about it. I
Because
think
in,
now we use teleconference and online communication for COVID.
Hmm.
But online mediation is very important. I think. Thanks,
yeah.
everybody.
But Kapil, let's do a clubhouse room today. If you have time today, or whenever you have time, let's do a clubhouse room on tech and mediation.
Tech and mediation.
Or
Sure. Sure, Vikram. Just give me some time. I'll probably
yeah,
gather some thoughts and send it over.
you don't have to gather thoughts. You have it all lying there. It just has to come out. How do we take it out from you? That's the point.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so perfect. So okay, Abe, I think. Do you want to end this? Okay, I'll
Uh,
end the recording. I'll end the recording. Let's not end the meeting. Let me
yeah.
just end the recording so that this doesn't become so